Exscape is now live across several markets in Africa, in Asia, and the Middle East. And it's growing in ways that nobody expected. Today, we're sitting down with Faisal, the president of Exscape, to talk about the strategy, people, and the product. This is Inside Exscape. So give us the real picture. Like, where is Exscape right now?
On 3.6 million devices and on the Android and Apple Store.
Okay, that's a great answer. And so when did you realize, if it's on that many devices, when did you realize that it had actually moved beyond a startup phase?
Well, so we would call ourselves a scale-up. If you look at the industry, we moved past startup when we brought in more structure, we brought in more systems, and we started scaling to the world.
When you look back at the original idea of Exscape, how much of it is still in the product now than what you envisioned when you started it? Has it evolved?
The idea for Exscape was essentially building a platform that would engage people. So the idea was always to create something that engages the user. And gaming is one of those industries that has broken down engagement to its smallest pieces and is one of the industries that does it best. You look at e-commerce, you look at music, you look at any of the industries that are out there, it's usually a hit and a go. You get people through the door through attention, but you don't really engage them for a long period of time. But when you look at gaming, people are engaged enough to spend more than 3 hours on our platform. So when you have an idea or a vision that we need to create the most engaging platform, then the product, it transforms, it evolves over time. So we started with having games, then we added the marketplace, then we added virtual environments, and then we added the social media aspect to it to keep people engaged. And as the product evolves, whatever we can bring in to keep people even more engaged, that's what we'll do.
So Exscape is now live in several markets in Africa: Ghana, Benin, Tunisia, Ethiopia, Cote d'Ivoire, in the Middle East, Kuwait, UAE, and Pakistan. Do any of those markets stand out to you more than the other? Have any of them taught you something?
So each market stands out by itself because every market has a different learning. Every time we go into a new market, we partner up with new telcos, we partner up with new payment gateways, we partner up with e-commerce platforms. The people that are coming onto the platform are partners in the region, how we focus on every market, how we hyper-localize when we go into every market, from the marketing to the marketplace, to the games that we build for every market, the virtual environments. Each one stands out on its own.
Okay, that's cool. So how do you localize for each market? That's so interesting.
We want to stand out. And one of the ways that you can stand out is that I want people in Tunisia to think Exscape is a Tunisian app. I want people in Pakistan to think it's a Pakistani app. And the way you need to do that is by speaking their language. Literally. When we go into a market, we translate it into the local languages. Like we've got 4 languages in Ethiopia. We go in and find out what are the games that people are playing, what are the local games, what are the cultural games, and then we build them for that market. And when it comes to marketing especially, we focus on how the people speak, their dialect, their cultural nuances, and how things are referred to. It changes from city to city, it changes from state to state. And we focus on those so that people feel more at home on Exscape than they do on other applications.
Well, I suppose then it is a Pakistani app and it is a Tunisian app. It is an app for everyone who uses it in whichever region.
Yeah, like we built the virtual environments. So we built Entoto Park for Ethiopia. We built Sidi Bouzid for Tunisia. And we've built more environments that people can feel at home in, like things that are from their country. And when people see that in an application, there is a connection that forms that keeps them there for a longer period of time.
I don't know, but it seems that in mainstream gaming and marketing that there is a tendency to overlook emerging markets like Africa and Asia. Have you noticed that, and why is that?
I think this was a tendency some time ago. I don't think the emerging markets are being ignored right now because that's where the majority of the younger population is. When you look at countries in Africa, when you look at Latam, when you look at Asia Pacific, the younger population or the youth is in a greater number when you compare it to the overall demographics. So maybe they were ignored because the majority of games were coming out from developed countries, but now they're creating their own games, they're playing their own games. And with the whole advancement of technology, a lot more people have access to the internet, a lot more people have access to smartphones, to gaming consoles, to computers, to the web. And because of that, I think it's more spread out and more people have access to games. Maybe not at, the high-end games, but everyone's played Angry Birds and Candy Crush and those kind of games that are on mobile. And for us, that's important as well because one of the things that we focused on is making sure that Exscape runs on every device. So more than 70% of our devices are under $100, the people that are using Exscape. And that has been one of our focuses because we want everyone with a smartphone to be able to play on Exscape.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Africa is it's a very young population, and I know everyone. What do young people have? Smartphones. So that's cool.
And what we focused on because of the younger population and because of the countries that we're in is the devices. That's one part of it. The second part of it is how do they pay? So when you're looking at people having credit cards or bank accounts, the majority of them don't. But everyone does have a smartphone. And when they have a smartphone, that means they have a contract with their telecom. We go in, partner with the telecoms, and in that way, they can pay for subscription and they can have access to the premium version of Exscape.
All right, so I see how that works. You are making gaming accessible to everyone. You're breaking down barriers of entry to gaming by using telcos. That's a brilliant way to do it. And everyone has a smartphone, so people have access.
That's exactly what we're focusing on. And when we look at the global south, when you look at the emerging markets, that's one way to get to everyone because the number of smartphones globally is increasing every year. Whereas when you look at consoles or when you look at other forms that games are played on, they have a shorter trajectory than mobile phones. Everyone's going to have a smartphone very soon.
Okay, yeah, and I suppose a smartphone. Some people have a laptop, a smartphone, a PC, an Xbox, a PlayStation, but emerging markets, like your smartphone, even for myself, your smartphone is your laptop. It is your computer. It is your console. It is your gaming. So yeah, I think that's great. So you hear a lot about rewards in gaming, and there's a lot of noise of rewards in gaming. But with Exscape, what is it that's so different and impactful about rewards in emerging markets and the markets that Exscape is launched in?
So when you're looking at rewards, people spend time and they expect something in return. Either they're expecting content or they're expecting music or they're expecting some form of an ROI, a return on the investment that they've made. Now, when you look at gaming, the amount of money that someone puts in, what they get back, if it's more than their expectation, it's a reward. And in gaming, especially when you're competing, competition is one form of glory, but when you get something monetary in return, it becomes even bigger. And that's what we focused on. But the way that we're doing it, we're not doing it like the rest of the games, where there is an aspect of chance or there is an aspect of winning it because the system decided or because the algorithm decided. For us, it's more skill-based, and it's a competition that runs from Sunday to Saturday. And the top 5 players in every game win points. Now, you collect those points over time, and then you can take them to the marketplace and redeem them. But the top 5 places are based on skill. You have to be good at solitaire to finish it in the least amount of time. You have to be good at the other games to be able to have the top 5 scores. And once you have those scores, get the points, redeem them in the marketplace. So there is an aspect of earning these points instead of just winning them.
Yeah, I like that because you're putting in the effort and you're giving people value back for their time.
Exactly. And everyone has the same chance of winning it. There isn't, oh, these guys are special, or there's an aspect of luck. Nope, you're good at the game, you win. And eventually, over time, the more you play, the better you get at the game, and then the competition increases. There is a psychological aspect called flow. Flow is when skill and challenge come up to the exact same mark. And that's when you lose sense of time. So that happens when you're watching a good movie, when you're in a good conversation, or you're taking a long walk. When the challenge and the skill meet, that's when you lose your sense of time. And when you play with other players and both your skill is increasing at the same level, the competition, their skill increases, your skill increases. So that challenge, that level of flow keeps you competing for more. So then it's not just about earning rewards. It's also about the people that you're playing with, the overall community. And that's one of the main reasons people spend a lot more time on Exscape than they do on other platforms.
Okay, so yeah, the rewards are value for the time, but then also the time spent, you get value because of the community and the games.
Yes, and it's not just the community and the games, because if you look at it, why do you go back to Facebook after, like, my account's probably 15 years old, but why do you keep going back? Because I have conversations, I have people I connected with such a long time ago. So the social aspect that we've added to Exscape, it helps you connect to the people that you're competing with. It helps you connect with the people that you meet in the virtual environment. It helps you connect with people that are on leaderboards. You can have conversations with them. You can chat with them. You can see what they're up to. So it's creating a complete realm of engagement that brings you back, because there's a lot more to it than just going and playing a game.
So, Faisal, where are you from?
Pakistan.
Pakistan. So, take us back to the Pakistan launch. Does that feel different to you at all? Is there any kind of...
The UAE launch felt different because I've grown up over here.
Oh,
the Pakistan launch was, it was another country that we were launching in, one of the biggest countries that we're launching in. And fortunately, we tied up with two of the biggest telcos. Now we're looking at payment providers. We've got great partners in the country. And the crazy thing is that the users in Pakistan are spending more time on the app than the other countries, which shows you there is a younger population, and this is a new concept for them. So that's what was different about Pakistan. We've had tremendous growth in Pakistan because we've only been live for a month, and we already have more than 130,000 active users. And we still haven't scaled. We still have to launch with the other telcos, and we still have to kick off a proper marketing campaign. So yeah, Pakistan's going to blow up.
So you grew up here. And this actually reminds me of a story about a winner we recently had who played in the UAE. She's from Ethiopia. And when we spoke to her, she said that she found out about the app through word of mouth from someone in Ethiopia who had been playing.
So, you know, that's a nice story. And it would only come true in Dubai, where you have over 200 nationalities that live over here. And for us, being a Middle East, for a UAE company, it makes the most sense to go global, because everyone from around the world is over here, and that helps us understand cultures better, and that helps us scale even better, because with the support of the government and with the amount of nationalities and countries that are over here, we think we have a better understanding of how to approach new countries, new dynamics, new partners much easier.
So I noticed in Pakistan that one of the prizes is a motorbike. Can you tell me more about that and why that would make a bigger impact there, and what made you guys choose to that as a prize?
we go back to hyperlocalization. It's what the people want. When you look at Pakistan, you look at the entire population, you look at the people over there, everyone wants a bike. When I was in Pakistan, I wanted a bike. So you put prizes that people can redeem that they actually want. It wouldn't make sense to put in something that people over there don't aspire to. Like putting a motorbike over here might not be such a big deal, but putting a motorbike over there makes a lot more sense. It's because people would want to save up points and redeem it at some point.
Right. So the prizes that are offered in each market genuinely make an impact and add value to a person's everyday life.
Yes, it's customized. So we have teams that look at the market. If we don't have teams in the country, we talk to our partners, we talk to the telco, we talk to the e-commerce platforms, and you can always go and see what is the item that people care about the most, that they're redeeming the most, or they're buying the most, and that's what you put up, because every market it's completely different. We need to look at each market differently, because when you look at the difference in exchange rates for countries, $100 one in the UAE are completely different from $100 that might be one in Cote d'Ivoire or Ethiopia. Because over here it might be 2 full tanks, but over there someone can go and get a full month of grocery. So because of that, we need to give people what they want, and we need to customize what they can redeem by country.
Okay, so here's the reality. Most people who hear play and win or see play and win, they must not think it's real. What do you say to that, and how can you focus on trust?
So we see this, and it is something that comes first to mind. That how is it so easy to get something? So when we do go to countries, the first thing we see is people come and try and redeem the smallest denominator in our marketplace to see if it actually works or not. And what do we do to build trust in countries? That's another one of the reasons that we go in with telcos, because a telco is either government or it's something that the majority of the population is connected to, and you're constantly paying them on a monthly basis. So you already have a trust factor that's built in. And when we partner with the telcos, that trust factor is translated to us. And then other partnerships, brand engagements, ads, we make sure that we communicate with our users to a point that we've got an open line to all of us. Like I have users that message me on the app. I have users that message me on LinkedIn, on Instagram. There's a completely open channel of communication with all of them. So trust is an important factor. And we see this with users. As soon as they've accumulated enough points, they go for the lowest denominator in the marketplace to see if it actually works or not. And what we do about this, and this is where telcos come in again. Telcos are organizations that are usually government. If not government, they're connected to people, and it's someone that you've shared your ID with, it's someone that you're paying on a monthly basis, and there is a huge amount of trust that is in those organizations. And when we partner with them, that is translated onto us as well. Our support team is always available to answer any questions users have. Our channels, our links are open to the entire team. I have people contacting me on Instagram, on LinkedIn, even in app. So that's one of the ways that we build up trust. And then partnerships with other brands in the country, partnership with e-commerce platforms, partnerships with events. That's how the brand is built. And I think we'll hit a delta very soon. We're already at 10 million downloads when Exscape is big enough that people will automatically trust it and not hear it for the first time.
So someone's won 3 phones, 2 iPhone Pro Maxes. We have winners that have won 3, 4 prizes. What is it like seeing that from the inside?
It feels great because they're playing on Exscape, and what that shows us is that users been on Exscape for a while to have redeemed that many points. And it's an even bigger, well, it has an even bigger significance when you look at this happening in emerging markets, because $100 in the UAE or in Kuwait is completely different from $100 in Pakistan or Ethiopia. Over here, you might fill 2 full tanks in your car, but over there you can get a full month of groceries. So it is a bigger deal in those markets because it has a bigger impact. We've had users that won an iPhone but came and redeemed the points for 8 smaller phones so that their whole family could have it. We've had people that are that have won 2 PlayStations and started a business where people can come in and play games in their store. So it has a completely different impact, or I would say a bigger impact in emerging markets than it does in countries like the UAE.
That's beautiful to hear that someone won and instead of getting the best phone for themselves, they decided to get the family phones. So it really is making an impact on people's lives. So is Exscape just for gamers, or is it for everyone?
No, you need to define what a gamer is first, because my grandmother's a gamer. valet guy downstairs is a gamer. Everyone that has a phone is a gamer, because companies like Rovio with Candy Crush or Angry Birds, they didn't grow to 500 million users by just focusing on gamers. Everyone's playing, and the more access they have to technology, the more things they can explore. And that's what we're doing at Exscape. We're not just focusing on games that gamers like. We're focusing on a wide array of hyper-casual games, mid-core games, and now we're building even high-end games. And the reason for this is having 120 games gives everyone an option to choose what they want to play. Let that be card games, let that be board games, let that be racing, shooting, sports. We've got everything covered under this. So anyone that picks up a phone, downloads Exscape, can find something they like on the platform.
Okay, so you mentioned hyper casual, so you don't need to be this like pro hardcore gamer to be able to win.
No, that's one of the definitions of hyper-casual games, that the learning curve is not there. You open the game and it is easy enough to just start playing immediately. And one of the other things that we've added to Exscape to make getting to hyper-casual games easier is you can get out of a game, start a new one, close the platform, come back into it again, is the speed at which you can switch games and restart again and again. So you've got a wide variety of games, but you can pick and choose and move between them with ease.
Okay, and then you still keep your points, right?
Yes.
You leave a game and then start a new one, bounce.
Well, it depends. If you have the top 5 scores, then at the end of the week, if you still maintain that lead, you get the points. Right. Because it is a tournament that runs through the week. But that's only in the hyper-casual game.
Right,
We've got environments like the amusement park where you collect points. Now, this runs continuously. You could get on that at any given time, and whatever the stars, the diamonds, the circles, whatever you collect are the points that you have.
What are people doing inside Exscape that you didn't expect to happen?
The amount of time that they're spending inside Exscape is not something we foresaw. When compared to benchmarks across the industry, people spend 90 minutes a day on TikTok. But when we look at our premium players and some of the top ones, they're spending anywhere from 3.5 hours and above on the platform. We have age ranges from 11 to 70 that are spending time on the platform. The amount of engagement is what we didn't expect, but we are very happy with it, and we want it to keep on increasing, which is going to evolve the platform as we go forward.
So you said it's exceeded your expectations, the amount of time people spend on Exscape. So would you say that is the strongest aspect of Exscape right now, or are there any other parts of it that are strong?
For a gaming platform, engagement is the key driver, and that is what we have inside Exscape. We have users spending more than 30 million hours of game time a month on the platform. So yep, engagement is the key driver, and everything we do, from evolving the onboarding to the kind of games that we add, the virtual environments, marketplace, social media, is to keep them engaged. And as we tweak them and make them better, is so that people can spend more time with ease.
Is Exscape competing with anyone else? Any other games?
I wouldn't say games. We're competing with all the major platforms out there, and that could be the video streaming ones, that could be e-commerce, that could be social media, because the goal for everyone is engagement. That's what time, attention is the commodity here that we're all competing for. The CEO of Netflix had said this, that they're competing with sleep. Because that's where more time is being spent, and that's what they want to get on. So at the end, it is engagement. So for us and other platforms, the goal is, how do we get people to spend more time? So that's how we're building Exscape, so that people can be more engaged on our platform than others.
There is a difference between just an app that people use and a place where people feel like they belong. How do you close that gap?
You close that gap by giving them more forms of entertainment than just come in, fill out a form, play a game, and then get out. You need to let them connect with everyone else that's in there. You need to give them more to do than just play a single game, increase in level, and leave. You need to give them choice. You need to give them autonomy in what they want to do. So the more games that we add, the more environments that are added, the more items in the marketplace, the more people that they can connect with. It gives them more reasons to stay, and that forms a community. And once you have a community, there's your ROI. That's what people are looking for. Because why do we still have Facebook? Like I said before, it is because there is a history to it. And that's how people start belonging, when they can start associating. And having history in an application, having people that you're connected to, having games that you like, that you've played, that you've been on the leaderboard for the past 3-4 months, is how you start belonging to a platform.
Okay, and you mentioned also that how you are creating environments and creating games that connect with people of a country, of a culture, of an area, and their language. I can't really think of any other app that is doing that, going into each specific market and creating and building something uniquely for that culture.
So there's a game that only exists in Tunisia, and it came from Italy. It's called Scuba. I've never heard of the game. I've never seen someone play it. It only uses 10 cards, doesn't even have the full suite. But I learned how to play it on Exscape. We built it because we went into the Tunisian market, and it is a game that is specific to that geography. And that's what we like doing when we're going into newer places, because where else are you going to find something like this?
Without giving anything away, what are you excited for users to experience next?
Well, we're building towards more engagement. So we are going to bring on more content, more experiences that will keep them engaged for longer on Exscape. That's all I can say for now.
Okay, but what's coming that nobody outside this room is expecting? Can you tell us more?
Well, there's a lot coming. There is a lot that we're working on, and slowly we're going to start rolling it out as we move into more markets and we get more active users.
So bigger, exciting stuff. So if someone has watched this whole conversation and they still think Exscape is just another app, what do you want them to leave this room understanding?
Well, Exscape is just another app that got 10 million downloads in 13 months. That has 3.6 million active devices, that has 1.7 million active users in only 8 or so markets. So if those numbers classify us as just another app, then we're just another app.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.